Hey there, welcome back. So I read Velvet is the Night, and I have a couple thoughts about it. It wasn't 100% for me. I gave it like 2.5, 3 stars. I liked the characters. The main character is definitely different than what I normally read, and part of my issue might have been I was expecting a little bit more of a thrillery element. I knew this was historical fiction. I knew this was like a noir kind of story. I don't know if I expect it more fast paced or I don't know what I expected, but I might have went in with the wrong expectations. She is a person who loves like romance novels and or romance comic books, more or less. Or graphic novels. There we go, graphic novels. And she's hopeless romantic, wants to fall in love, wants to get married, wants like instant love. As soon as she sees someone that's attractive, oh, what if we fell in love kind of thing. She also likes to steal things and tell little fibs and lies about her life, which honestly I don't know why, but that's one of my favorite things in characters. When I read a book that I don't like, but it has a character like this, I'm like, I might have to bump it up a star. So maybe this is why I gave it 3 stars on Goodreads. Yeah, I don't know why I love that in characters. I just do. But the plot itself was really slow, and my least favorite thing is like the meandering plot line. We're looking for a missing person, and there's something interesting and exciting going on over here, but it's in the background. So we're just going back and forth, talking to people, uncovering a few little secrets. Meanwhile, there's a whole like revolution happening. It deals with the Mexican Dirty Wars and what are they called? The DFS, and the politics at the time. That is all so interesting to me. I would have loved for it to explore more of that. And like pretty much a massacre that happens during this time, but it's like brushed over so subtly. Like this is happening in the background and it's important to the plot and story in the terms that it's playing context of what's happening, but it's other people's problems. It's not the main character's issue. And then the other main character who is more tightly involved in that, he's been dragged into this other side plot of the missing person and the photographs that deal with all this bad stuff. But we're not dealing with this bad stuff. We're not giving more context of the revolution, the political climate at the time. It's touched upon, but I would rather go deeper into that. And I think that might be my issue with historical fiction in general. I might just want nonfiction. But I don't read it because then to me it reads like a textbook. So I want a more historical fiction with more nonfiction incorporated into it. So, and even the one last little criticism about Velvet is the Night, the two main characters, I would have loved for them to interact more because it kind of just, the ending was so abrupt and I'm just like, we needed a couple more chapters of them crossing paths more. Just my little issue. Overall, I did enjoy the book. It is fantastically written. The setting and atmosphere is great. I love the characters. I just need a little bit more plot. I have determined I am a character motivated reader. If it's a fantastic character, the plot doesn't matter. They could be shoveling snow during a snowstorm in the winter. I will read 1,000 pages of it if I love the characters. And these characters, while good or great, yeah, they weren't fantastic. I wasn't drawn or connected to them 1,000%. They were just very fascinating and would have been more entertaining for me personally in just a different plot or if the focus of the plot was elsewhere. Going back to historical fiction. I have not read much. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I adore this book. I loved every single page of this book. I would have taken another 1,000 pages. I would want textbooks and documentaries and films about this character and her life. The plot itself covered her entire life. So therefore, it didn't have the strict, straight, narrow, fast pace that I normally want in a story. But because I love the character so much, it didn't matter. She is one that she would never shovel her own snow. She would find someone else to do it for her. But I would read 1,000-page story about her shoveling snow. However, it does take place over her entire life, and in doing so covers, how long? I don't remember. many decades. So you deal with LGBT rights in historical context. There's the AIDS epidemic. There's, I think, Stonewall, something like that. Names are touched upon to give context for the era that we're in, but you're not learning or diving into those issues. And that's fine. It wasn't the purpose or plot of the book, but it is something that I would have liked more of. Other examples that I really enjoyed, what's it called? My Lovely War? Yeah, I think that's the name. This is a love story that takes place during World War I. I am a horror thriller fan. I don't like love stories very much. However, it is told from the perspective of Aphrodite, the goddess of love. And I love Greek mythology, so I wanted to read this and see what it is. And I really enjoyed it. The love story was cute. I love the gods' little intercepts, because there's like a trial going on in wherever the gods are to. What's that mountain called? Brain hurts. Point being, I enjoyed that story, but it didn't give like historical context for World War I, really. It dealt with different groups within the war, and did it go with people of color and a black army? I think it's been a long time since I read that book. Besides the point, it was not historical. It was not a nonfiction to teach you anything. And that was fine for the book it was. It was a love story, and I was in for the Greek mythology aspect of it. So I didn't personally need more of the nonfiction elements to incorporate into the historical fiction, but it was an option. It could have been there. Mexican Gothic. I'm hesitant to even call this historical fiction, other than it takes place in the past, in a culture, in a time frame that is not modern day. But it was horror, it was thriller, it was Gothic. Like, should I call Rosemary's Baby historical fiction because it didn't take place in modern day? Well, I guess it was modern day at the time. Maybe that's the distinction. Point being, like, I don't know how I feel about historical fiction. I think I want a historical fiction book that teaches you more about the history, world, time period in a way or through a story that did not actually happen. Just, I don't know, the Titanic. You get a feel of what the ship was like and what people went through, and you know this event occurred, and you're seeing it through the eyes of fictional characters. But I can't think of a good example, really, where I actually learned something about history through the eyes of fictional characters. And that seems like something I want to explore more of. So I need to look into some historical fiction books that's purpose is to teach you about this history time point. If anyone has any suggestions, let me know. I am going to do some digging on Goodreads, and we're going to see what I find. Back to Velvet is the Night. Overall, I definitely recommend it. I think the issue for me is just I didn't know anything about Mexican culture, gang wars, politics, the time period. But now that the names have been touched upon, I will do further research into it. It does seem like an interesting aspect to learn about. If you're someone who likes more romance aspects, or at least the characters possibly in those romance, I haven't read romance, know if this is common for characters, so like Love at First Sight and daydream about falling in love, but want a little bit more noir, thrillery, mystery aspect, I definitely recommend this book. All right, that's all I got. Again, I'm going to dig into historical fiction to see if that's a genre I want to pursue. See ya. Bye.